Greetings everyone. Today we're going to explore solving multi-step equations, specifically equations that have 4 steps or less. Make sure you have your notes. And if you're currently in my class, your notes might look like this. And so take a look, we should be on this 3rd tab. All right, in that tab, let's talk about the solving multi-step equation steps. So our first step, which you guys are used to in math, is distribution, right? If you have parentheses, you need to take care of them before you can start moving stuff back and forth. Step 2 is combining like terms. If I have a whole bunch of x's on one side, I need to condense them down to 1. And so combining like terms can look like 2x plus 3x in order to get 5x. Right? We're adding or subtracting them to put them together. Step 3 is move a variable. Now I'm putting a star by that. In this video, we are not going to be doing this step. If you need all 5 steps because you're solving very large equations, please see my other video. And step 4 and 5, we've already been working on, so this is no surprise. You want to undo any addition or subtraction, and then you want to undo any multiplication or division. Now, I'm someone who's not a good memorizer, so I apologize. I might forget names, numbers, letters. You never know. So if you're like me, here's a little trick to help you remember. The phrase, "Don't call me after midnight." Watch how I write this out. Don't call me after midnight. See how that's the first letter of each of these steps? Distribute, combine, move variable, add or subtract, multiply or divide. So if you need a little trick, you could jot that acronym down on the side of your paper. So let's get started. The first 2 examples are a review of 2-step. So I'm going to go through these pretty quick. You can see my previous video on 2-step if needed. I'm reviewing this because of the fractions. So the first thing, I can easily add or subtract over. There's nothing blocking it. There's nothing special about it. Next step, undo any multiplication or division. But we're going to split this up into 2 pieces. Don't say you don't like fractions. You don't need a fraction. This says divide by 4. So the opposite would be times by 4. Opposites go away. And we arrive at 24. All this does is add one little extra step. Instead of 3 times x, if we're kicking it to the other side of the line or equation, you're going to divide. So split your fraction up into 2 operations. Some students have asked in the past, do I have to undo the division first or could I undo the multiplication first? Let me show you really quick what would happen. Let's say I want to divide both sides by 3 first. That would leave me with x over 4 equals 2. And then you could times both sides by 4. See how we arrive at the same answer? So keep that in mind. What do you see first? Example 2, again, this is a review. This we had in our notes prior. This is a special case scenario. I cannot undo any addition or subtraction because that fraction bar is in the way, right? When you have someone in the room that's just overpowering and takes over the problem, you got to get rid of them to move on. So we got to get rid of that too. We got to get rid of that fraction bar. So instead of a huge divide 2, we're going to do a huge times 2. Only the opposites go away. I didn't even touch that numerator, so it falls down. Now it looks like a regular problem. Let's undo any addition or subtraction. Let's undo any multiplication or division. So what you need to analyze is it a small fraction or is the fraction the entire side? All right, now let's really dive in to our acronym. I'm going to write it off to the side and talk about it piece by piece. So don't call me, oops, sorry, I couldn't see that yellow, after midnight. I'm going to use different colors. Step 1 is distribute. What am I going to distribute though? What is next to the parenthesis? Don't distribute the 4, it's not touching the parenthesis. What number could I fill in here? Technically, there's a -1 in front. If you didn't see that, can you please fill in a 1 and circle that? We are going to distribute a -1. -1 times 2x is -2x. -1 times 6 is -6. If I didn't use it, it falls down. Step 2, combine. Look at that left side. There's 3 things. I can't have 3 things. I need to shorten it up. So I have these 2 things. Now you might have learned in a previous class to draw little arrows to come together. You could do that. Personally, I like to draw an underline. A 4 and a -6 are a -2. Right? They just 4 minus 6. It's just on the same side. It's nothing special. It's regular old calculations. Now the other stuff that I didn't use, they fall down. Today in this video, we are not doing move variable. So let me jump to undo any addition or subtraction. Instead of a -2, I need to add 2. Notice when I kick it to the other side, that's when it becomes the inverse operation. If I didn't use it, it falls down. And my typical last step, undo any multiplication or division. This means multiply. When things are next to each other, it implies multiply. So we're going to undo it and divide. That gets us a -7. X equals -7. Let's try this again. I'm going to use the same colors, the same letters. Don't call me after midnight. Today, in this video, we are not doing the move variable. See my other video. Step 1, distribute. Oh, it's a little clearer here. See how I have a -4? Keep it sign. -4 times +2 is -8x. -4 times -1 is +4. Can you make that plus sign obnoxious, please? Don't forget those negatives. Now, if I didn't use it, it falls down. Next step, combine. I need to combine like terms. Look at that left side. I have a 9 and a 4. Those combine super quickly to 13. If I didn't use it, it falls down. Next step, undo any addition or subtraction. Look at that 13. What kind of 13 is it? It's a positive 13. So I need to subtract 13. You're going to want to add it. A lot of you are going to see this subtraction sign here. No. That belongs to the 8. That -8x falls down. We're not touching it, right? So we have to subtract 13. And my typical last step, undo any multiplication or division. This says multiply, so we're going to undo and divide. X equals -4. We got 2 more to go. Example 5. This time I'm going to use all one color. All right, I'm still going to write my acronym off to the side. Don't call me after midnight. I promise it helps if you're not a good memorizer. Otherwise, we are going to start with distributing. But look it, I have to distribute 3 times. -2 times -w is +2w. -2 times +2w is -4w. -2 times -3 is +6. Step 2, combine. I have a bunch of w's. If I have 2 w's and I take away 4 w's, I have -2 w's. I didn't use the 6 and I didn't use the 30. Undo any addition or subtraction. Well, that 6 can get kicked over. Since it's getting kicked over, we use the inverse and subtract. And my typical last step, undo any multiplication or division. Instead of times -2, divide by -2. You need to know your sign operations. If you don't know that it's a -12, please use your calculator or practice using that. Our last example you will see again in my class on homework, but you might also have some other problems in the future. So let's read through this. We want to write an equation and solve for x if the area of the rectangle is 60 square units. So I'm going to fill this in. Can you please do the same? Area is 60. So let's talk about area. How do you find the area of a rectangle? Length times width. Side times side. Maybe you've learned that. Maybe base times height, right? Like it doesn't matter to me how you learned that. You have to know that formula. So let's fill in. My area is 60. You were given that. My length, I'm going to call 6 my length. My width, I'm going to call this side my width. But that looks weird, right? I can't just put a dot in. Something seems off. And what's off is that width is kind of a long piece of information. So if it's more than one term, you want to put parentheses around it. And if you're really unsure, just think, how can I make this look like the other problems, right? Now it looks like something I have been solving. So let's start by distributing. 6 times 2x, 6 times 4. Undo any addition or subtraction. I can kick that 24 over pretty easily. And undo any multiplication or division. I ran out of room, so I'm going to write over here. 12 fits into 36 3 times. Because there's words in the question, just reread to make sure you're looking at this correctly. It says write an equation and solve for x. Perfect. I solved for x, and it works out. Alrighty, don't forget today we remembered the acronym for our solving steps. Today, on today's tasks, you will likely only have 4 or less steps. Make sure if you have any questions to ask, check out the Sabre Center for any additional support. And until next time, have a good one.